It's not just radio, it's Rockland World Radio. RocklandWorldRadio.com.
Welcome to Dialogues with Dan, heard on Rockland World Radio every Tuesday evening at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be sure to check out the archives for past programs by clicking on the Programs and Archives button located on the menu bar. And now, the host of Dialogues with Dan, Mr. Dan Windheim.
Thanks, Richard. Hi, everyone. How you all doing? And we're going to have some fun tonight.
Hopefully.
Oh, hopefully. Yeah, I'm speaking with Jeremy Cash, a local comic, and he's training to be a comedian. And I'd like to welcome Jeremy Cash, or should I say Jeremy David Cash?
Jeremy Cash is good.
Oh, that works. Yeah. Hey, Jeremy. Glad you could join me.
Thanks for having me.
Oh, of course. Yeah, Jeremy, I'd like to start by maybe you sharing a little about your upbringing and your background and how comedy might have affected you as a young person.
All right. Well, first I would like to touch upon the music we were listening to. I found that to be very soothing and settling to me right now, and I'm just in a very warm, comfortable place. So I just wanted to acknowledge that and thank you for that.
Yeah, I'll note that.
All right.
For future
references.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Excellent.
All right. So I don't know. I guess for me when I was younger, comedy was always a way to like break the ice and just stay comfortable. I was one of those shy people growing up, and it was just a way that I could talk to people and try to, go about just not being awkward,
Sure. And was this effective?
I would say it was. I'm a lot of my early friendships were based on humor and comedy, like pranks and screwing around and just like getting into trouble and making fun of people and, just having a good time.
Right. Maybe you could share some of your pranks.
Oh, yeah,
with
sure.
us.
No problem.
Ha.
Well, I was a big fan of the Home Alone movies. I'm not sure if you're familiar with those films.
Oh, definitely.
And
I'm not that old.
Oh, they were very inspirational to me. I like to mess with adults to try to pull one over them. Me and my brother would often rig up these traps throughout our house and just try to, inconvenience people and potentially inflict, some sort of physical pain or trauma onto them.
Yeah.
And so we did things like that. We would one thing I remember doing was tying these superheroes on the backs of doors so that when the person went to open the door, the thing would fall on their head. Like it wasn't that detrimental to them as a person, but we used to do things like that. And then, as I was telling you before, we used to really go all out on April Fools.
Yes.
This one year, I remember me and my brother.
Be careful. I understand someone might be listening.
I hope more than one or two people are listening.
Or someone we both have dear in mind.
That's true. One of my philosophies, though, as a comedian.
I'm sorry I cut
It's okay.
you off about that gag you pulled.
Yeah. But I was just going to say one of
it?
my philosophies as a comedian is to offend as many people as possible and not to be afraid of that. So, but yeah, back to your question. One April Fool's, me and my brother, we took all the soap and shampoo in the bathroom and we replaced it with Nestle's Quick. I hope I can say a brand name on this. I don't want to get in trouble.
Yeah.
But I believe it was Nestle, the Nestle variant. And yeah, we basically just rigged it up so that when my mom took a shower that morning, she was met with a chocolatey, shampoo replacement. And I think in hindsight, she probably went along with it when she noticed the entire bottle was covered with sticky chocolate fingers. But, humor was kind of a thing in the house.
So you weren't punished?
No, honestly, I think she got a kick out of it. She just thought we were being creative.
Yes.
And stuff.
Sounds like a good, what could I say?
Good mom.
A good gag.
It was a decent gag.
A good mom.
Decent gag.
Yes, moms are very important in our lives. My mom listens to most of these shows.
Yeah, you got to have support.
Yes,
starts with mom, right?
Oh, definitely. If our moms are out there.
Oh, let's give them a shout out.
Yeah, Mom.
Good times.
Yes. And so you grew up, you have a brother. Did he like your joking?
I think at one point he liked my jokes. When he was real little, I used to be able to get him to laugh for hours. I don't even remember how, just like, I recall that, like, and just making him, like, hysterical to the point of tears. And, I don't know if he still would like my jokes, because he's into yoga and art, and I'm more of into, like, as I was saying, trying to offend people, and that doesn't always work out, with that type of mindset.
Are you serious? I thought people love getting offended. Go ahead, offend me. Go ahead, would you?
Well, I mean, for one, I'm not a big fan of that hat.
Well, then if I take it off, yo, all right.
I'm just kidding. That was a joke. I like your hat. I just want it for myself.
The ball joke. No ball joke?
No ball joke. Hat jokes only here.
Yes. And, all right, Jeremy, what would you say makes people laugh? Different things.
Well, there's very simple forms of humor. You see someone trip and fall in the mud and get their nice Sunday clothes muddied up. That might give you a little chuckle, or maybe just something like funny sounds, stepping in the mud, or I don't know, sounds can be some cheap humor. And then there's all sorts of layers. You can have observational humor, you can have things that make sense, things that are funny because they don't make sense.
Yes.
Like, just, I mean, I think physical pain is a big, easy source of humor.
At least for you it is, but not the person.
No, unfortunately not for the person always.
Right. But, though, when my back was really bad, I used to sometimes fall down in pain.
Yeah.
I would be laughing at myself.
I mean, you got to laugh at yourself. Some people would say, you shouldn't laugh at that, but I think it's just a natural reaction.
Yeah.
And what are you going to do? You learn it at a young age, and sometimes it's just funny.
Exactly. And you had said you target everyday life. You try to take everyday life and
I think
look at the funny nature in life.
Yeah, I think there's a ton of funny things in everything we do. We take ourselves so seriously, and just like, to be a good comedian, you really have to be able to make fun of yourself. And when you fail, you have to reflect upon it, and it's human to fail and to not be perfect, and just that reflection is very important to being a stand-up, because you kind of have to have the audience on your side.
Yes, And you had said there are certain keys to comedy. There's the eye contact, right? And what else?
Well, when you're on stage, it's not just about your jokes. There's your mannerisms, there's your pace of speech, your eye contact with the audience, your ability to, carry on a conversation, because it's important to be personal and not just be in a presentational form.
Sure. And you had said you have to judge your audience of what humor you're going to use, because
That's true.
scenes, some humor wouldn't fly.
Yeah, I think it is important to judge your audience. I mean, sometimes you're going to... I did say, offending people is okay, but you don't want to lose your audience. You want them to be on your side. So if you're at a crowd of everyone's 50-year-olds, you might use a different style than you would with a crowd of 20-year-olds who are all drunk and stuff. I don't know.
Sure. But don't some comics, that's their shtick, is insulting people.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. That's not your game.
No, I don't like to filter myself to the point where I'm afraid of insulting someone, or offending someone. But no, I'm not a very, very confrontational, insulting person in real life.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, to let you know, Jeremy and I work together at the Nyack Library. And that's a whole different sense of humor, library humor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you got to be politically correct at your place of work. You could say some inappropriate things, sometimes
Who
even
does
maybe
that?
once or twice yourself have perhaps crossed a line in the sand. And, well, it was very funny to most involved, It's a different game. It's just like with your audience selection.
True.
So.
I admit, I own it. I take
But I enjoy
ownership.
it. I enjoy when you get inappropriate at work.
Yes.
For the record.
But it's kept to a minimum.
Oh, of course.
Yes.
You know how to play it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Jeremy, because maybe you could share about some of your ideas for maybe a comedy routine. I know you spoke about
Sure. Well, the other day I was in a bar and I was making eye contact with a pretty girl, and I was very happy. She was giving me some positive signs, and she even waved at me. So I was getting up, ready to go over to her table, when I noticed a much larger, better looking gentleman behind me was actually the one the wave was intended for. And I like to take situations like that and write jokes about them. And I guess that sort of answered your question.
Partly, but I was thinking of the convenience store.
Ah, yes. A project that came up at the Nyack Library, might I add. Yes, this was an idea for maybe like a sketch comedy or a cartoon where the premise was the owners operated an inconvenience store where everything was inaccessible and as a result very funny. Like our hours of operation were, in the night, 3 to 6 a.m. We were located on a very steep and treacherous mountain that was difficult to traverse. Just like basically every facet of the store was an inconvenience. And that was just an idea I had with, actually when I was in the convenience store, just thinking about the word itself.
Yeah, that's a great premise. I mean, especially life these days is anything but convenient.
That too.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, most everything is difficult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yes. I'd like to talk about why you, Jeremy, I'm talking to Jeremy, why you think humor is important. Not impotent. Important.
Well, let me bring back what you just said about how things are not always easy, you know. Life is difficult, and we're presented, or we're put in these situations, and, you know, what options do we have? We can either be optimistic and laugh at ourselves, go with the flow, or we can fight it tooth and nail. And I think it's like a way to deal with life. It's maybe a defense mechanism. It's a form of entertainment, enjoyment, and it lets us converse in a way where we get satisfaction. And yeah, it's a distraction from some of the things we're not too happy about, and it's a way of spinning those things specifically sometimes.
Definitely. When you're at the club doing your thing, I mean, I imagine there are a lot of people in life who don't like comedy and who, you know, they sit there with a grim face and they're not easily humored.
Perhaps. I mean, my answer to that is, why are they in a comedy club if they don't like comedy? I mean, they're kind of going to have a bad time regardless. But, yeah, sometimes people don't get your humor. They just don't like you. And, you know, maybe you can win those people over. Maybe you can't. But hopefully the majority of people that are coming to see you have some sort of affinity for comedy.
You think so?
I would hope so, or else I question their judgments as people.
Well, think about it. Many people in life are serious and they're...
Aren't they just the worst?
Yeah. But...
Oh, man. Serious people and normal people just really grind my gears.
Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know.
Yes, and so you were talking about why comedy or humor is important. You were talking about a few things. How about a society without humor? What would that be like?
I don't know, maybe Great Britain? That's kind of a joke because I'm a British person, and they have a very dry sense of humor. But, I mean, I don't know. It sounds awful. It sounds boring. It sounds trivial, and I don't know. Don't sign me up for that one.
Yes. So the comedy or humor gives us a reality check in some ways.
I don't know about that. I think maybe life is more of a reality check on comedy, and we have this necessity to distract ourselves from the bigger picture, and how healthy that is, I don't know. But that's kind of one of the functions of humor, I think. You know, it's really just about distraction from a lot of the bad things in life and having a positive spin on them.
Yeah. And how about if the subject, so to speak, doesn't laugh, but you don't joke about it? Is that right? Like, for instance, this program I began it about disabilities or overcoming challenges. And if there's a disabled person, and I mean, you wouldn't go and joke about their problem or their difficulty unless
You shouldn't.
Unless they, in a way, give you permission by them making light of it.
Well, I mean, that's not always going to happen. Maybe if you were in a situation like that and you were so inclined to make that kind of a joke, yeah, it would be more okay if they had welcomed it with some kind of a gesture or signal. But I would say you probably should just steer clear of that kind of humor in general.
I mean, what people could find it offensive.
Yeah.
Even joking about age. If the audience is an older crowd. I mean,
of course.
Yes.
I mean, that's part of the risk you take when you stand up, you know? Like, you're going to offend some people, and, you know, I'm not doing it to be malicious. I'm doing it to be funny and to connect with people through that humor. And I can see how it could bring some people down and could offend people, but I think as long as that's not the purpose, at least that's good. I don't know.
Yeah, but don't you think you have to be, what's the word? You have to think ahead of, will this alienate the audience? Maybe I shouldn't use it.
Yeah, I mean, I try not to overthink. If I'm like tiptoeing around every possible subject that could offend people, I'm probably not going to be that funny.
True.
I have to take some risks. It gets back to me not trying to be malicious, and
well, that's what
I'm also not meant to be taken completely serious. I mean, it's an act. Not everything I'm saying when I'm on stage is supposed to be taken literally.
Sure.
Which has actually backfired on multiple occasions.
Oh, how so? Do you mind explaining that a little?
Sure. Why not? Well, one of the things that pet peeves of comedians is tell me a joke or make me laugh, funny guy. And so the other day I was talking to this girl who I liked.
Notice how it's always about a girl. That's Jeremy's thing. Girls.
Yeah. And my friend, who was a mutual friend, went up to her and said, "Hey, why don't you tell her a joke?" And immediately I kind of recoiled because I was like, oh, you really put me on the spot right there. And I have this joke about how I was walking around and I saw a bird flying overhead, and the bird shits in my coffee, and I drink the coffee. But this never happened. Like, this is a joke.
Right.
And the girl thought that I drank that coffee, and it did not go over well. She backed away. She was basically disgusted, and so that didn't work out. And she serves coffee for a living, so she was just that's why I told her it.
Yeah, I could see the humor. Yeah, Jeremy is a coffee nut.
I do like coffee. It's great.
But do you like hazelnut coffee?
Yeah.
You are a nut.
Have you heard the joke?
Which one?
The joke involves a hazelnut coffee.
Oh.
And I mentioned how the hazelnut blended well with the bird excrement. And,
really?
you know, the coffee's expensive, so you can't just throw that out.
Exactly. Makes sense to me.
Right?
I mean, I'd say she's not a keeper.
She's not the one.
She's not a keeper. So, Jeremy, maybe you could share where you perform and maybe about the website that the comedy club you joined.
Sure, why not? I I really got into comedy fairly recently. A few months back, I began a class at the Gotham Comedy Club in Manhattan, and I believe their website is gothamcomedyclub.com. But if you Google that, you will very much find the website. And one of the things my teacher, whose name is Jim Mendrinos, he's a fairly well-known comic.
You see, I think Jeremy is practicing what I suggested, doing comedy, staring at the floor.
Yeah. The floor can be your friend, you know, the camera's a little intimidating. But yeah, you know, I go to a lot of open mics. I go to the Village Lantern in the Village. I go to Climate Lounge. I go to I've got a thing at Levity Live coming up, and a show in, I want to say, Island Park in February.
Excellent. It's so great. Yes, you had mentioned the name of the Gotham Comedy Club. You can find that.
Yeah, it's well-known.
Could you talk about what actually goes on at your sessions?
In the classes?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. So it was an 8-week class. The first week we basically, he just told us we were going to have to go on stage. He told us to write for an hour every day, carry around a journal, a notebook, whatever. Every time you find something funny, write it down. Write down why you think it's funny. And then we all started going on stage following the first week. And we would go on stage for about 5 minutes, and we would get a critique afterwards. And it was very much like an open mic environment with a couple of people who have been in the business for a long time.
Right. So you have like teachers who are comics.
Yes, correct.
And are there like one teacher, or do they change?
There's one main guy, and then there's kind of like a teacher's assistant. Both were very helpful and integral to the class, but that was kind of the dynamic of the class.
Excellent. And this is located strictly in New York.
Yeah, they have classes all over, but this was at the Gotham Comedy Club in New York City.
That's excellent. And you said you're going to be at Levity Live. Is that through the Gotham School?
Not really. You know, a big part of comedy is just networking with people, and I had heard that they were having some type of event, and I'm trying to, right now, to just get as much stage time as possible and to go on as many shows as possible. So I just talked to some people who I met through connections, basically.
Perfect. Sounds like that would be ideal.
Yeah. Still very new to the whole thing.
Yes. So how are you about... Oh, we spoke about that. Sounds not always perfect, but who is?
That was a question?
Yeah, who is?
Oh, I don't think anyone, right? I mean...
What about Matthew?
Our boss?
Yeah, he's pretty close.
Yeah, sure. No, I don't think anyone's perfect.
Yes. And how about maybe some of your role models or comedians you look up to?
Sure, this is a question I like to answer. My favorite comedian of all time is Mitch Hedberg. Not sure if you know him.
I don't.
Liked him for a very long time. I like to think some of my style is similar to his.
Is he still performing?
He actually passed away. But I also like Louis C.K. a lot. I respect his work ethic. I've heard he does upward of 25 open mics per week, and he's, rich and famous. So he's doing it because he loves it.
Yeah.
And yeah, they're two of my favorites. I like Stephen Wright too. I've heard that I'm a deadpan comedian, which means I don't have a ton of emotion and I'm kind of looking at the floor and nonchalant.
Yeah.
And he was kind of the king of that style. So
yeah. And you think that works?
I guess it kind of goes with my personality type. I'm not the most bubbly or enthusiastic, more reserved and soft-spoken.
And why do you think that works? That style?
Well, I mean, it all comes down to the jokes, I think, but it can come off as funny in terms of the delivery, and I'm not sure. It's just one of the different styles.
Yes, definitely. Do you watch or have you SNL, Saturday Night Live? Are you a fan?
Yeah, it's a good show. I mean, I watched it more when I was younger. I don't really watch it now, but I used to watch a ton of shows like that.
Yes. And do you watch maybe Seinfeld or
oh yeah, Seinfeld's one of my all-time favorites.
Yeah.
Curb Your Enthusiasm, Always Sunny in Philadelphia, just to name a few.
Yes.
I love Seinfeld.
Oh, yes. And do you think you got comedy or your humor? Do your folks have good sense of humors?
Yeah, they do. You know, I would say they do.
Yeah? How so? Careful. Someone might be watching.
I don't know. They're just not too serious, I guess. They're willing to laugh. Yes. And they're willing to tolerate me as a ridiculous person, which is always nice.
Do you find many people, I'll say, are tolerant to your crazy sense of humor, or do they just take what do they call it? Or does it take a shelf life? Like you have to.
I don't know. I think a lot of people, like some people, tolerate it. Other people are maybe confused. They're like, "Is this guy for real? Like, why is he doing this?"
Right.
And then, yeah, some people are just definitely thrown off. I mean, it can be tough in like a professional setting.
I imagine.
Yeah.
So it's like they either like you or you lost them forever.
Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it. Like me or hate me.
Yeah.
But yeah, some people, yeah, absolutely.
So do you, all right, out of 10 people, I'll make 2 friends. I'll lose 8.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, that sounds about right. 1 to 2.
Yeah.
But those are real good friends.
Exactly.
Those are solid friends.
Yeah, that makes sense. So are there any things you'd like to maybe touch on? I'll take that as a yes.
I don't know. You're great at asking the questions.
I like that, but I also like.
I'll touch on the fact that it's a difficult thing. It looks easy, and it's a lot of work, a lot of travel, a lot of rejection, a lot of risks, a lot of difficulty. But you know, it can also be a tremendous payout and a cool career.
Yes.
Fun thing.
Yeah, what do your mentors say about rejection? Or only getting 2 out of 10?
Well, I think you have to have a short-term memory, you know? If you had a bad set, you can't...
What'd you say?
You can't stay attached to that rejection. You need
What'd
to,
you say?
I said, I see why you're doing that. That's clever.
I'm sorry,
No, it's a good bit.
Sorry.
But just basically not staying attached to it, just rolling with the punches. Tomorrow's a new day. Don't let it affect you, because it's gonna happen. I mean, if they never laugh, maybe you should just stop. But everyone has a bad day.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I hope you don't mind that I stole the show.
You did. I couldn't even hold it down for a second. You stole it.
Well, do you have room in your car? Or
I don't even have a car. So, room is scarce.
The bus. I'll catch a ride with you. And we'll hit the road. Yeah? Is that a good plan?
Yeah, if you'd like to pay your $2.50 bus fare, you can more than welcome to accompany me on the bus.
It's really it's only $2.50?
No, that's probably an understatement. But yeah, I mean, it's a bus.
Yes. I get a bust or a bus.
It's a bus. Anyone can ride it.
Bus or a bust?
I don't know. You could have a bit of both, maybe.
Yeah. Okay, Jeremy, I know comics hate this, and you're gonna hate this, but do you have a joke for us to end?
Do I have a joke for you?
Or a funny quip?
Funny anecdote?
Exactly.
Well, I do a lot of observations, and when I was on the train the other day, I noticed this couple, and one was drinking Starbucks, one was drinking Dunkin' Donuts, and I just thought that they were off to a really rocky start. You know, that seems like kind of a high-maintenance couple to me. Like, you're there at Starbucks, and she won't have a drink. You have to go to Dunkin' with her after.
Yeah.
And that to me is just like there's a joke somewhere in there.
Yeah, exactly. It's there. You just have to take it.
Yep.
It's there.
And that's real life.
Yes, that's real life. It's real. The real life with Dan. Dialogues with real life Dan.
Rock on.
Rock on. And I guess it's up to me to say, I'd like to thank Jeremy Cash
for
joining me on Dialogues with Dan. Have a great week, everyone. Peace.
Cool.
It's not just radio, it's Rockland World Radio. RocklandWorldRadio.com.